Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's been a little bit, so I'm excited to hang out tonight. Go ahead and grab whatever you need to get comfortable, and I'll see you back here in about 30 seconds. All right. Happy Wednesday to everybody watching. I am excited to kind of reconnect on here. February was really wild, and I kept posting this like on my own personal social media accounts. This school year, this is like the sickest I've ever been. Like every virus that one could get, I have gotten. So you can kind of still hear it in my voice. I had influenza A last week, and I'm still like just not back. I've had just like the lingering fatigue, the lingering cough. So that's been wild. But I swear, like this whole school year, like, and I'm good about like I get my flu shot. I'm up to date on my COVID vaccines, all the things. I take vitamins. I try to drink water. I wash my hands constantly. I clean my house constantly. I don't know what it is. I've gotten the flu. I've gotten COVID. I've gotten norovirus. I've gotten like a bunch of different just regular viruses and colds throughout the year. But I tell you, like whatever, I get every germ. I go into a lot of different schools. So I'm thinking that's just it. Like I'm just exposed to all the kids' germs. I don't know. I don't know, you guys, but it's been rough. So I apologize for how I sound today, but I didn't want to cancel again because February I was just not able. My schedule was nuts, and then I was sick so much. So, um, but I want to talk about tonight with all of you ways that we can encourage our communities. And when I say our communities, you can take that to mean whatever you want. Um, Honu's here snoring. I don't know if you guys can hear him. When I say communities, you can take that however you want. You can take that as like, the multilingual community, students, families, teachers, other stakeholders. Or you can think about it in terms of your school community or your social network and community. You can really take this however you want. But as I've been having conversations, I've had so many, and I'm thankful. I'm really, really thankful for those of you who have reached out through social media or text message or email or whatever, just saying like, can we have a minute to like unpack things happening right now and what this might mean. I've had so many really hard conversations, but also conversations that have made me feel like I'm not alone and you're not alone, and like we're gonna remain committed to serving our communities. So I don't know, it's like that weird balance, right, of like it's so disheartening to hear these stories and how they're impacting our students and families and ourselves, like in each other. But the fact that so many of us are like coming together and trying to brainstorm and trying to organize, I think that has also given me like a sense of relief, if that makes any sense, like a sense of relief, like we're still here. Like we're still here. We're not going anywhere, and we're not giving up, and we're still going to continue to advocate for those we serve. I was so honored a few weeks ago now to be the keynote for the Illinois TESOL convention, their annual convention. And during my keynote, I talked about like kind of milestones in advocacy over the years as it relates to serving students and families who are from our multilingual community. And revisiting each of those like court cases, like those landmark court cases and like federal level protections. It was hard, I think, for me to revisit some of those things because I know many of those things are like under attack right now. And they're questionable of like what's going to happen tomorrow and next week and like what's coming down the pipeline and what's no longer going to be protected. But I think the other end of that is I know, like my logical brain knows that each of those things came to be because somebody or a group of somebodies came together to say this is not right. So again, we shouldn't have to like refight for these things, but this is the current state of things. So the fact that it became law, it gives me hope. Like it might be harder, and it might not be right away, but people are still fighting and people are still advocating. And we can rely on the strength of those who have come before us and fought those battles and won those battles, or fought those battles and didn't make the change, but set the groundwork in motion so that things could change. So I want us to rely on the strength of those before us and kind of harness that power to help propel us forward. So as we talk about this topic here of encouraging our communities, there's a lot. I think everybody needs some type of encouragement and support right now. And so what I want you to do right now is if you have a piece of paper nearby, or maybe you don't, and maybe you just think about this, I'm going to stop talking for 60 seconds. And I want you to literally make a list right now of people in your circle, people who are like in your immediate circle. That includes students and families, but also folks on your peripheral. Who might need to be uplifted right now. So I'm going to set a timer for 60 seconds. I really want you to make a list. Make a list. So our time starts now. We're making a list. Who needs to be uplifted right now? We have 10 more seconds. All right. So now you have your list of folks in your circle or on your peripheral that need to be uplifted. I hope that you also wrote you. I hope you wrote your own name because you also deserve to be encouraged and uplifted right now. So now I want us to kind of consider how might each of these folks need that encouragement. Like encouragement can come in a lot of different formats, right? Encouragement can come, and it kind of reminds me of if you've ever done any co-teaching training with me, I will ask co-teachers to complete an appreciation style survey, because that, like, it helps us understand how we can express appreciation to each other in different ways. So as we think about the how, we can really think about like all the different ways that we show connection and care to each other. So for some of us, that might mean like just a kind word. A kind word can come in many formats as well. Some of us really like public praise. So to start like a team meeting with saying like, hey, I just want to acknowledge the work that this person is doing right now. I just want to express my gratitude, or just give them a shout out. So some folks on our teams appreciate that public praise, or maybe it comes in the form of like an all staff shout out, like on a PA or in a newsletter, or even on social media. Somebody might need a kind word that's public facing. Somebody might need that validation. That's fine. Others of us, again, when we're talking about like just a kind word and sharing a kind word, it might come in a text message format too, of just like, hey, I noticed that you're doing this. Thank you for doing this. Or like, I see you. I see that you're, you're showing up every single day, and like you should celebrate that. Like you're doing all the right things right now. In case no one has told you, thanks for being an advocate. Thanks for being there for our students and families. Thanks for being that connection to the community, whatever it might be. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a handwritten note. One thing I always encourage folks to do, if you go to like the Dollar Tree or something like that, and just get a whole bunch of blank stationery and just keep that handy, because that allows the opportunity to spread some encouragement to teammates and colleagues. You could also get your students involved and have them just share like kind words. Maybe they're anonymous, maybe they're not. Maybe they're kind of general notes of positivity, and students walk around the school and distribute them, or they go into the staff parking lot and they put them on cars, as long as it's not raining or snowing. But that could also be a quick little way to just spread some love in the community, because we all need that. So next to whoever you listed, I want you to consider, how might those folks need that encouragement? Like, in what format can we express that encouragement for those folks? So take about 60 seconds, maybe a minute and a half, and I want you to jot down some thoughts and ideas. How might they need some uplifting or some encouragement? What format? So go ahead and take that time now. All right, I'm going to pause us here. And thank you for, again, just getting some reflections recorded. So now we're going to start talking about some individual groups. So when we talk about ways for us to uplift our students, there's a lot of different ways that we can take this conversation. Something that I'm trying to be more intentional about always is language and the words that we use to describe what's happening right now. And I wrote a blog post, and I'll see if I can link it in the comments when we're done here tonight, is how we refer to the experiences of our students. I wrote, the blog post is called "They're Not Dysregulated, They're Scared." Because I think that sometimes when we overuse the term dysregulated, and it kind of loses the humanness behind like the lived experience. So if we can name that our students are feeling afraid and uneasy and anxious, just the level of worry that some of our students are experiencing, it's so much that they are carrying back and forth to school and in between classes, and it's never something that they can fully put down. And for those of us who have a very different lived experience, it can be difficult for us to really wrap our heads around what that could be like for these children. They're children. Anyone under the 18 years old, I'm calling them children. Your high school students are still children. So the fact that they're walking around carrying this, they go to bed at night worrying about this, they wake up in the morning, it's always there. It is always there. And so when we think about ways to uplift our students, it really can be something as simple as like telling a student, I see you, I care about you, you are so loved, you are so important, you do belong here. No matter what you are hearing or experiencing, I want you to know, I believe you belong here. You are a valuable part of our classroom and our school and our community. And your identity is safe here. Your language is safe here. And not only like making sure that I am delivering that message, no matter what my role is, to every student I come into contact with, but how am I making sure that my colleagues are also giving that message, like explicitly and implicitly? How are we sharing that? How are we communicating that very, very clearly to our students? And again, we can also consider like, you know, the notes and like the messages of encouragement, the ongoing like little systems of support. But also, can we also just acknowledge like just experiencing joy at school, even though like, so if we were to say like, I'm going to set up like I'm going to change up my warm-ups for the month of March and April, and it's just all going to be centered on like play or joy or creativity or mindfulness or something like that, so that during those 3 minutes every day, we have that protected space, right? Like we're intentionally creating time and space to honor that part of our humanity. Because yes, we have to teach all these things, and yes, we have to keep up with our pacing guides, and we have IAR testing, and we have all these things happening. But we all can carve out time in front of our students, with our students, to be human beings. So I would love to hear other thoughts and ideas, things that we're doing to uplift our students right now. Uplifting families is another piece, right? Like that's another very important part of our community. What are we doing to uplift families? I've had a lot of hard conversations with teachers around, and we actually talked about this at ITB as well. We talked about like the idea that some of our schools and district leaders have said to us, like, you cannot distribute red cards because that's legal advice, and the school can't provide legal advice. Like, we are teachers, we are principals, we're not providers of legal advice. And I do understand that. I really do understand that. But also I understand how that feels as an educator to be told like, no, don't help. You know what I mean? It almost makes me feel as a teacher like, well, they just don't care enough. Like, our leaders are so disconnected, they don't care enough. But I also, again, like it's that both and, like I can recognize how that makes me feel of like, well, they're not doing enough to show our families that they're like, we want to protect them. But it's also like the legal thing, right? Like we can't provide legal advice. Like we're not knowledgeable in that. Some of us might be, but like that's not like our background. I don't have a law degree. I am not Elle Woods. So I am in no position to offer legal advice, right? So aside from red cards and equipping families with tools and resources to know their rights and things like that, what are the small things that we're doing to uplift our families? Again, this might come in the form of snail mail or a text message or an email or a student celebration, like, hey, I just want to acknowledge that your kid did this cool thing, or they did this funny thing, or like, I really loved this moment I shared with your child today during physics because we were talking about this and they just said something so funny. And I just really appreciate their sense of humor. It could be so small. Sometimes we overlook the small moments because we're always trying to think of like the big thing. But the small moments are really what shift culture and climate and can also show families how much we really, really care about them and how like we see them and we're lifting them up, right? So it can be as small as that. So the other, another group that I want to mention is our colleagues. Now this includes the colleagues that we see every single day and that we work in the same team and maybe in the same hallway. But this also includes folks outside of your team. So maybe you are kind of like in the multilingual department, or like you serve on the third grade team, or you're like the math department chair or whatever. I also want us to look outside of kind of our groups that we belong to and say, like, how am I reaching out to the fine arts team? How am I reaching out to my colleagues at other grade levels or other departments? Because everybody is a part of this current lived experience and current realities. And we might not know who is struggling under the weight of all of this. So considering ways for us to uplift those folks as well. This is also a good time for us to connect with each other because maybe we haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to do that yet this year. Maybe we have new teammates, new colleagues that we just haven't had the opportunity to connect with thus far. But just sharing like a quick little note of solidarity or comfort, or like just sharing a funny story between like about a shared student. It could be anything, but considering ways for us to kind of reach out and connect with each other, that could be what really keeps someone going. I don't want to get emotional, but it's nice, right? When we're on the receiving end of that, when someone reaches out and maybe it's been a while, or it's from somebody like who is outside of kind of like your niche in education. I had a really cool encounter on social media recently, and I'll share it because that's what's making me tear up. It was a principal who I had worked with, I don't know, a few years back. They hired me to come in and do a workshop in their building. And this person reached out to me and just said like, hey, I'm just sending you love. And I'm just wanted to, tell you that I'm thinking about you in light of everything that's happening right now. And I can't tell you, like, I needed that so bad that day. So having little moments where we can connect with each other, it really does make an impact. I don't want to cry every Wednesday. I'm sorry, you guys. Things are just heavy, right? But again, looking at ways for us to do that for each other on our team, outside of our team, outside of our department, outside of our school building and district, like all of that. And then I'm also going to acknowledge this because there are so many really, really wonderful leaders who I see are really taking the reins, and they're looking for ways to Connect with their teams, their staff that they serve, the teachers that they serve. They're sitting at meetings behind closed doors, and they are demanding actions that help our community. So I really want us to be intentional about seeking out those leaders and giving them some encouragement, because we don't always know the things they have to fight for behind closed doors. We don't always see, like, we don't always hear the words that they're saying and how they're standing up for our students, our families, and us. We don't always see that. So I do want us to take a moment to acknowledge those leaders. And it might be like the multilingual director, it might be, but it also could be like a coordinator, it could be a principal, it could be a department head who's like continuing to bring up these things and having conversations and creating, safe spaces for students and families to dialogue or ask questions about all these things. It could be a lot. It could be a lot. So I want us to continue to encourage those leaders, because they need it. And I guarantee they're not getting, if anything, I think they're getting resistance, and they might be feeling really pushed down, and a sense of defeat. We don't want to lose these good leaders. So please make sure to take a moment to acknowledge their work, and lift them up, because they deserve that too. Now, one person that I want to make sure we mention is yourself. How do you need to be uplifted today? I want you to consider, like, what are the things that you are going to need from your circle right now? And maybe it's you sending a text message or an email. I need I need a few minutes to talk about this, or like, I need to laugh tomorrow. Like, maybe you send that to your coach. I need to laugh tomorrow. Can we play this funny video for our students? Something like that. Maybe you need more intentional rest. Maybe you need a creative block of time in your schedule each week. Just identify what you're going to need to uplift yourself, and be honest with those folks in your circle about what you need from them to feel uplifted by them. We're really good about advocating for others. We're not always good about doing that for ourselves. Now, I'm going to end tonight. Excuse me. I'm going to end tonight by encouraging you to take a look at these 3 sentence starters. So they're on the screen. And this is how I ended our keynote at the ITB convention, is I asked folks to kind of reflect on either 1 or 2 or 3 of these ideas, or come up with like a graphic representation of what advocacy is for you. So I wanted to share a few of the responses that I got. So again, some groups, some tables came up with like a graphic representation. Some just filled in the blank for each of these statements. Some of them just focused on one. But I love this. It says advocacy means reaching out to students too afraid to leave their homes. I thought that one was beautiful. This one says advocacy is actively supporting a cause by raising awareness, creating a positive change in society. This one says, advocacy is speaking up for yourself and others. Advocacy means having difficult conversations. Advocacy includes helping others. Advocacy involves finding your voice, resources, and the light in the darkness. Yes. This one says, advocacy is being a voice for the voiceless. This one says, what they did was like an acrostic. So they spelled advocacy. Assertiveness, determination, voice, use it. Opportunities, coordination, accepting care. yearning for change. Advocacy means love, personal support, not waiting for others to do it. Passion, compassion, empathy. This one says advocacy involves listening to others, being brave, and the whole community. This one says advocacy, understanding, caring, being present, educating, standing up for those who can't. I'll share just a few more. This one was just a graphic representation. There we go. So we can see all these people kind of connected around a circle, holding hands, linking up. That's really cool. I like that. And I'll end on this one for today. Advocacy is defending and supporting and loving. So I am thankful to have this collection, and I'm going to continue to grow this collection because, and I'll try to figure out a way to kind of share all of these and more as the weeks go on. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, either tonight live with us, or as you kind of reflect. If you'd like to tag the IRC on social media and share your thoughts about what advocacy is, or you can tell us how you're seeking out encouragement or how you're uplifting those in your circle. We would love to hear it. And please continue to stay connected because we need each other. All right, sending you all lots of love and health and wellness. Take care, everybody.